Good morning. I got a question, and I thought I would use it as an opportunity to kind of make it a teaching moment. It's about the term Shidoshi. If you want the question and more details on the question, that'll be the last half of the video. It should be amusing, but really, the question was related to the term Shidoshi, and I realized that there's a lot of misconceptions about Japanese terms like Shidoshi, and this might be a chance to kind of set the record straight. The problem with Japanese, again, it's not derived from Latin or any of the European languages. So sometimes A does not exactly translate into B, you know, a word. Some words do, but others don't. A good example would be sumimasen, which can mean both, I'm sorry and thank you, which sounds a little weird, but really, if you study Japanese, you know that masen is a negative form of a verb, which means that the something is not going on, and sumimasen basically means this is not ended, this is not completed, and it's kind of a case where if someone does a real solid for you and you kind of feel bad because they went out all the way for you, and it's like, dude, I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to do something nice for you. Sumimasen type situation. Again, you do something that's inconveniences someone, and you say, "I'll make this right." Sumimasen. Obviously, there are times when it's good to use it. Sometimes when it would not be good to use it. If someone says, "My mother was killed by a hit and run driver last night," and you use a term, well, that would be awkward. And that's another example, is that in situations like that, your a mother dying or something like that, in English we would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." That they would not say the same thing, "I'm sorry" in Japanese. They would say something else. It's kind of like that with the term Shidoshi. And well, one of the misconceptions out there that it is a Japanese word that means coach, and no, but kind of. There is a term in Japanese, shidosha, which means kind of like coach or guide or something like that. So yeah, if you think about shidosha and shidoshi, one was created basically to make you think of the other. Shidoshi, according to the Japanese, was created by Soke Hatsumi to serve as a title for teachers in the Bunjinkan. I say, according to the Japanese, because there's a differing opinion that I'm going to talk about later on. Anyways, so why come up with a new term? Well, if you are around Soke Hatsumi or read his stuff in Japanese, you quickly understand that he has a great amount of contempt for the Japanese educational system as it stands, and he is not alone. He's complained that, teachers in Japan basically sit up on a podium and lecture, and the students take notes, and then they turn around and take tests. And everything is about taking tests in Japan. That's one of the reasons, that, I'm old enough to remember, I started getting back into studying Japanese culture and stuff like that back in the day when, the teachers union in America were saying, well, we need to hire more teachers and pay them more money because look at the test results from other countries compared to ours. They've kind of changed their tune now, but back then, of course, they were saying, look at the tests. This is how it shows. Japan is all about tests. My first job in Japan was as an assistant English teacher. I basically kept the Japanese English teachers honest, make sure they didn't make any mistakes, and also try to engage the kids and get them to talking, because it was a situation where kids could go through all the way through high school and pass a test to get into college, including English, and not speak a word of the language. This is the Japanese educational system. And Hatsumi Sensei really doesn't like that. If you are around him talking about education for even a short period of time, you understand that. Incidentally, the people that run We Love Bunjikan group on Facebook gave me this. I greatly appreciate it. Check them out if you want. I'm not getting any endorsements for that, but yeah. So really, Hatsumi Sensei does not like teaching in Japan in the way that it's typically done there. And he more likes the interaction, the things, going on. Again, Shidosha kind of means guide or coach, or, someone that kind of goes along with you as you train or learn. And you can kind of understand that that's different from how the Japanese educational system is. So it seems obvious that Soke Hatsumi wants us to basically not be, a boss. And it's said that a boss is someone that stands up and bosses people around, where a leader is down there in the trenches as people go forward. He is part of the team. He is taking the arrows in the front. He's a leader. He's leading the group rather than bossing people around. And that's, if you think about that, that's the way things should be, in my opinion. I've seen too many people that are trying to be teachers. And that's one thing that Soke Hatsumi has also said is, don't be a teacher, which is not to say don't teach. It's just don't be a teacher. Like some people are fathers. It's not just a matter of biological accident. They are fathers. That's what they are. They are people that, their world revolves around their kids. There are some people that are Christians. Yeah. Atheists, I have no problems getting religion, but if someone comes up to me and says, introduces themselves, I am a Christian, or I am a Hindu, or I am a Muslim, or I am a Jewish, I was like, okay, yeah. You see everything between, either part of your religion or not part of your religion, and I'm an atheist. Oh, and that also goes for people that, I'm an atheist business owner. If your religion's, if your entire world revolves around your views on religion, there's going to be problems with me. Anyways, so that's what's it. Don't be a teacher. I've seen this time and time again. People bringing their groups of students into Japan and not getting on the mat and learning. I mean, they'll go out and they'll correct the students, but they won't be out there and actually risk the teacher coming over in front of all their students and pointing out their mistakes. And, well, if you're not training twice or more as hard as any of your students, you really don't deserve to be teaching. This is not about you. This is about the student. They are trusting you to do your best, so that if their crazy ex-boyfriend traps them with a knife, that they have a better than average chance of surviving. And, if you drop the ball and all you do is train and not teach anyone, okay, that's on you. But if you drop the ball and other people die as a result, well, I don't know how you could live with yourself. The whole thing. So don't be a teacher. Be a Shidoshi. And that's the thing. Shidoshi means, the one that, guides someone going through the process. That's basically it. Now, an interesting thing about the Shidoshi thing, of course, Hatsumi Sensei created it. If you use it, if you try to say, like, there's other terms for teachers in martial arts, you got Hanshi, Shihan, Kyoshi, whatever. But if you use Shidoshi, like you're talking to people from Aikido and say, well, I'm a Shidoshi in the Bujinkan. They're going, what? Because it's not a Japanese term, do you mean Shidosha? You can confirm this. When Steve Hayes came back from Japan, Steve started calling himself, Stephen Hayes is a Shidoshi, teacher of the warrior ways of enlightenment. Go back, to Black Belt magazines. They're all online except for the first issue, and see, how he introduced himself, how he was talked about. He described himself as a Shidoshi. He did not explain that it was a Bujinkan exclusive terms. He kind of gave the impression that, if you teach ninjutsu, you're, instead of being called a sensei, you were called a Shidoshi. Which was kind of interesting, is that how many other people started calling themselves Shidoshi after that. These people that came out of the woodwork saying that they were centuries old ninjutsu traditions that previously no one had ever heard of. And they were the Shidoshi. I mean, Bryce Dallas and all that. Yeah, kind of interesting. Same thing with the whole straight sword thing. They're claiming to do straight sword kata for centuries after Stephen Hayes started showing it with a straight sword. And there's no basis for the ninja using straight swords. Sorry, I've talked about that elsewhere. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that all these people claiming to teach Koga or Konigun or Watsamaru, whatever, are claiming to teach Shidoshi, and that's kind of comes where the question that I got from is based on. I got a question from someone asking how, what do I think about Shidoshi Senzo Tanaka? And I thought it was a joke, the guy pulling my leg, and nope, nope, he's serious. He's serious. Okay, so here's the thing. As I just said, Shidoshi is a term created by Soke Hatsumi, according to the Japanese. Now, some of you have probably heard of Frank Dukes, the guy that claims that the movie Bloodsport was made out about him. Yeah, okay. CIA, is part of this evil plot against him, denies his story of working for them and all that. Oh, the entire world, even the Emperor of Japan is out after Frank. Oh boy. So, according to Frank, he created the term Shidoshi. And he took terms from 3 different languages, Chinese, Japanese, and another language, and basically created the term 4 ways of the corpse. 4 ways of the corpse. Yeah. Okay. So, and according to Frank, and Frank would not lie, the Bunjinkan then stole the term from him and used it to kind of part of their plot, their evil plot, to deny the world knowledge of just how awesome Frank is. Right. Okay. Would Frank lie? I don't think I could stand it if Frank was lying. Anyways, so it's kind of an interesting thing that, Senzo Tanaka was supposedly Frank's teacher. So if Frank coined the term, why was his teacher using the term Shidoshi? Is this a mistake, or is this Frank's body double? Oh yeah, that's right. Frank has a body double. A lot of people that used to know Frank back in the day and strangely don't like him now have told me this, that like they'll confront Frank and say, well, you were saying this back then and now you're saying this, which totally contradicts it. He will point out, no, that was my body double. That wasn't me. It's my body double, and he didn't know all the facts, but now I'm telling you the facts. So I don't know, maybe Frank's body double said that was Shidoshi. Senzo Tanaka was named Shidoshi. Yeah. Now, the thing about the name Senzo Tanaka is that, well, Tanaka is one of the most popular Japanese names in Japan. It's maybe third or fourth. I mean, it's like Smith or Stevens or Martin or something like that. Fairly popular, even so. Senzo used to be a popular name for, personal name, but like, Maurice, Eugene, things like that. It's fallen out of favor now in the 21st century. But about the first half of this 20th century, it was among maybe the most popular personal names. I don't know, but it was fairly popular. So Senzo Tanaka was kind of like the equivalent of John Smith. And by strange coincidence, Ian Fleming used the name Senzo Tanaka to name the head of the Japanese intelligence service in his novel, You Only Live Twice. Wow. Okay. So, obviously Frank didn't read the novel and stole the name. No. Frank actually says that, Ian Fleming, he knew about Senzo Tanaka and, knew his background in the intelligence service and used the name, which is really disturbing about Ian Fleming, who I had respect. I mean, he actually was involved in intelligence service, and to blow a source like that and give the name out like that of an actual person, oh, that was really irresponsible of him. I mean, oh, that's just horrible. You don't do that. I mean, in some countries, the head of the intelligence service name is always kept secret. Now, in Japan, not only do they not do that, but the head of the intelligence service is known, and there is no Senzo Tanaka in reality. Of course, maybe there was a secret intelligence service, and they secretly kept the name of the head of the intelligence service under wraps. I don't know. The only other option would be like Frank's lying again. I don't think Frank wouldn't lie. No. So that's the thing. I don't know, how, if Senzo Tanaka used the term Shidoshi, or if Frank just gave it posthumously, or if it's a body double, or maybe it was, like part of the evil CIA Emperor of Japan Bunjinkan plot against him that did this. Because that's another thing is that, according to Frank, and he wouldn't lie, the U.S. government actually gave him the Medal of Honor in a secret ceremony, just so that if he ever displeased them, there would be no proof that he got the Medal of Honor, and they could nail him to the wall on stolen valor, and show that there was no proof of him getting this medal, just in case. That's how far they go against him. That's how persecuted poor Frank is. They 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 did this in secret just so that they could nail him later on, possibly. So he wasn't lying back in the day when he was telling people that he had the Medal of Honor. And the lack of proof is actual proof of the plot against him. Yes, Frank is a victim of an international plot involving the CIA, the Emperor of Japan, the Bunjin Khan, probably the Boy Scouts of America too. Poor Frank. But yeah, that's it. And I turned this situation into a chance to kind of like explain what Shidoshi is like. And I hope that it will help people, because really you should be out there. You should be learning. You should not be a teacher. You should be a guide. You should be a mentor. You should be in the trenches with everyone else as they learn. Do not be a teacher. When you are a teacher and you have, the image of a teacher, and you have the self image as a teacher, you're not going to challenge that. You're not going to be out there, saying, I might fail at this. You learn from failures. Like if you're out there and Soke Hatsumi comes over, or one of the new Soke comes over and say, "You're doing this wrong. Let me show you how it's right." Well, it might destroy your ego a little bit, but you are going to learn. You learn from your failures. And trust me, I've learned a lot from failures, and I've had a lot of times when my nose was rubbed in my mistakes. It's a good thing to be a student. It's nice to teach, but don't be a teacher. Be a Shidoshi. Take care, folks.